Hello.
Hi.
And welcome to
The Love is Blind podcast. UK edition.
Yes, UK.
I'm Allie.
And this is, Andre.
Who are you?
For a second, I was like,
say your name, man.
What do I say after that part? I thought I was being tested.
A man who needs no introduction.
But I do need some cheat sheets, apparently.
We're here to talk about the reunion.
The reunion.
We did episodes 1 through 11 in one fell swoop.
Yeah, and we got at least one piece of positive feedback about that, people had kind of binge watched it, so it was nice to just do our episode in one.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're back for the reunion with the description. I'm sure the description is very generic now that I'm thinking about it, but the description of this particular episode is...
1 year after the weddings, Emma and Matt host the 6 couples and one surprise guest.
Not a surprise.
Who's not that surprising. As they unpack all the drama from the pods to the present.
Cool. Well.
And we have, just for those of you who've watched Love is Blind Mexico, we have not finished that and plan to do the same format where we'll do all of the episodes at once and then a different reunion ep.
Yes.
Once we get there.
So, if you like this podcast, like and subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
If you are part of any Love is Blind communities, like if you're on, a Facebook group about Love is Blind,
mm-hmm.
or you post
Work
on
colleagues.
Reddit, mention that you listen to
Church
this podcast. And that unlike other podcasts, we try to be nice about people as opposed to...
You can say whatever you want.
I mean...
You could say that.
Yeah. I mean, we are. Anyway. But yes, write us reviews, like us, subscribe us, set your Spotify to auto-download. That is helpful. But yes, give us a little note. And follow us on Instagram, Love is Blind Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, shall we dive into this episode? We begin with, I would say, the second laziest introduction to a reunion.
I know.
I still think that the Sweden introduction, where it was just like lights up and everybody was sitting down on the couch, everybody, just the presenter and all the couples were just already there, just cut in straight away. Whereas in this one, we have Matt and Emma.
Yeah.
Emma Willis.
Emma, who's perpetually in a crop top.
Mm-hmm.
Every outfit has been the same outfit in a different color.
Crop tops are
great.
Not bad tops.
But girl likes a crop top,
Sure. But they do a little a fake proposal to each other. Anyway.
Just, I think, to maybe announce, just that people are coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty phoned in.
I think it does seem as though it was meant to sort of announce that they're doing a second season, right?
Yeah,
because
this might be when they do that.
Are you going to do this for a second year with me? I will, or something along those lines. Anyway,
it was not only lazy, it was advertising.
But I don't
double fail.
I can't tell if anybody in the audience caught on to the fact that it was an announcement. Anyway,
well.
The people come on, everybody's looking nice, everybody's dressed up, and we dive into our very first couple. We go straight into Ollie
and Demi.
Mm-hmm. And, we find out pretty quickly they're sitting really far apart, which is, I will point out is interesting because there are, spoilers, other couples who are not together who are sitting together, which is weird. But they are sitting decidedly apart. And it doesn't sound like they have a lot of bad blood, as it were. Mm-mm. Like, I think that they were just like, you know what, I don't think we had enough time, or that, this was just not the right time for the two of us. And Demi kind of gives us a lot of insight into, the fact that she has had a lot of self-growth in the last year or so, and that she does give at least partial credit to this situation, not necessarily Ollie, although I think she mentions him as well, but moving in with her parents and just kind of rededicating herself to the things that matter in her life. So that's pretty awesome. All in all, you're getting kind of like okay, cool. So you guys went through this. You're not together, but it doesn't seem like you're bitter about it. And you're feeling kind of hopeful. And so not about each other necessarily, but about, your own future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Demi's refrain is, Ollie's a good man, but he's not my man,
Yeah.
And it sort of surprised me that they don't seem to have attempted a friendship afterwards.
Yeah.
Which I remember both you and I thought they would. It was just a question of would they wait a little bit or would they not?
Mm-hmm.
But that they didn't at all was kind of surprising to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since it seemed like they were maybe going to date after the altar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think they were right for each other. And I completely can understand why they feel like they feel. No bad blood, but like that's okay. You met me at a chapter and I'm not there anymore. We do find out that Demi was upset by seeing Catherine's comment about Ollie and Demi not making sense in the real world.
Yeah.
Catherine tries to play this off as something not physical, but it's just not believable. Basically she said something in a talking head that was insulting, and then Netflix put it on the screen, put her on blast, and it's crappy that she said it. They probably have so much footage of you that I want to be like aware that if you have just hours and hours of talking, like probably something's going to slip out that you're not proud of. So I wish she hadn't said it, but she did, and it seems kind of understandable, even if it is hurtful. But her to just completely not take ownership of the fact that that's what she meant, it just doesn't make her look good. I think it makes her look worse than if she was like, I said something really hurtful and I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there seems to be a little bit of drama between Demi and Kat overall about physicality, about Kat's comments about her, also comments that other people had about Ollie just out in the real world, which I thought it was interesting that Ollie's bringing it up, just kind of litigating something that didn't actually take place, which was people online thinking he would not like Demi physically. Then he was saying, of course I would like her physically. And we're like, well, okay, yeah, but in the show this never came up. So anyway, it was interesting that he felt the need to bring it up,
really?
to sort of excuse a thing that didn't happen or wasn't really like presented in any way on screen other than like in people's suggestions. You disagree? Yeah,
I think it was definitely a narrative that the show had. I think the show was for sure had a narrative pitting Catherine against Demi physically, and the show had a lot of talking heads of Demi being worried about her weight and saying she liked to eat a lot, and being really self-conscious of that, and will he like her? I remember it was actually quite played up.
I guess what I mean is that there wasn't... What am I saying? Ollie at no point presented... once he met Demi, didn't present as somebody who was like not attracted to her because of...
No, not at all. I think he was attracted to her. I just think what I assumed he was responding to was the narrative that the Netflix created. That was actually in the show. And maybe other people outside of the show responded to that, but I also think it was in the show. Yeah, I agree with that. We also do get this mention of Charlotte at this point, and very uncomfortable. Are they dating?
Yeah, and Ollie refuses to really straightforward answer anything. First, they ask the question, and he takes a big swig, and he's like, "What did you ask?"
What?
he gives this very strange answer of like, we're supporting each other.
What do you think the relationship status is based on his answers?
I don't think they DTR'd. I think they maybe had like meaningful looks into each other's eyes, but haven't had a chance to explore it, and now they're being asked on screen to define it. I don't know. But yeah, it kind of goes unaddressed. Charlotte's just in the audience, just laughing about it. But yeah, no, we kind of, well, actually, the last thing about this couple before we move on, sorry, we see a.
Wait, I want to say about Charlotte.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I think they just hooked up a few times.
Okay.
And not dating, and it was just very awkward to be confronted about that.
That's also a very strong possibility.
But yes, you're talking about the card.
Oh yeah, I was saying that in Demi's journal, she had a card with her parents and just a reminder about her family. Just a memory that she wants to keep their relationship kind of in mind. And yeah, adorable still. Her parents, I think, are really cute.
Couple goals.
As they get described. So then we move on to Sabrina and Steve.
I know, the surprise of the
break.
reunion,
Mm-hmm.
where apparently it just went off the rails.
Yeah. There's an aspect of this that left me unsurprised, and at the same time I was like, but you guys seem to be doing well. But yeah,
it was surprising that the chosen couple broke up.
Yeah. It is surprising that it seems like Steve just didn't try.
Yeah. It seems like he just left the show, got completely overwhelmed and shut down, and then just stopped putting effort in. It also seems, I mean, there's definitely a pursuer-distancer dynamic going on with the two of them, because she's using a lot of like, you always, you never,
Yeah.
I always had something, you never made the effort. And he is like, I did try some, I mean, there's definitely that going on. Yeah, you said you weren't necessarily, I think I heard you say just now that you weren't surprised.
I wasn't necessarily surprised because their love always had this aspect that, there was that like, you big idiot constantly in the background,
Yeah.
There was the thing that like, okay, yeah, the show is presenting the narrative that they're doing well, they're getting married, they got engaged, they're getting married, and throughout this, I got the sense that maybe, that Stephen was going to become, that he was going to be insufficient in some way because she kind of like looked down on him in some ways. And I don't know if that's, I don't think that's exactly the dynamic that played out here. I think honestly, the explanation that Steve gives is pretty good. Good in the sense that like it explains probably what happens to a lot of couples, which is the moment you stop filming the show, where you're getting essentially ostensibly probably paid a small amount of money, probably a very,
or at least at the very least everything's paid for you.
Sure, but
pretty extravagant things are paid for you,
and you're getting fed, you're getting housed, you're getting to go on trips, you're getting to do amazing things, you're put in place with this person who you've spent some time to get to know, and you feel really good about them in spending a short amount of time with them. That then you're suddenly faced with a real world, having to pay bills and go to work, and all of your best self that you had on kind of drops away because you're refocusing everything in a different direction. And I'm not saying that to say like, oh, it's okay that he didn't make any sort of adjustments, but it's the reason why I think that I almost expect that a lot of relationships from Love is Blind probably get really difficult immediately after the show stops filming.
Yeah.
Because their entire dynamic has to change. It has to change drastically, from 4 weeks or no, more than 4 weeks, 5 weeks. More than 5 weeks. More than 5 weeks, 6 weeks of filming to go to suddenly back into the real world and being occupied.
Yeah. Yeah, I think his explanation checks out. He got totally overwhelmed. He runs his own business. And I don't know. I mean, I always wondered, like, he makes a reference to things being expensive or worrying about money or something. And yeah, I think being a gym owner would be tough, to... You could be really successful at it, or or like any small business, it could just be really tough to make ends meet, and it sounds like that was a big thing. And I'm guessing she got more and more, and if it's like a classic pursuer distancer, he was already feeling like he was failing. She got more and more, strong about her needs, and it felt like less and less he was doing was right, and it just drove them away. Yeah, it's sad though.
Yeah, it is very sad.
But they get so heated that Crop Top Emma actually cuts them off, and it's like, okay, which I appreciated. I feel like Nick and Vanessa would have egged that on.
Possibly.
So I kind of liked that Emma was like, okay, we're going to just jump in and move right along,
Yeah, I will say that I have seen that Sabrina has since posted quite a lot of text, and I don't remember if she's put out any videos, but she has a lot more to say about the sort of falling off of their relationship, and she still pretty strongly believes that she put in a lot of effort, whereas Steven did not. That she tried and he didn't. She went to visit him. He 7 times. He came over twice, and that he didn't really live up to his vows, which is sad for both of them.
I wonder why she felt the need to do that, because I guess I watching this was like, I believe you, like yes, the pursuer distancer dynamic. I see a scenario in which they both could have contributed to what happened, but I also completely believe that she was putting in more effort than he was, just based on this. So to then walk away from that and be like, I still got more to say, I don't know. That's intense energy to me,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think what she's really playing at is the fact that she thinks that Steven is, I guess, like excusing his behavior in some way. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't want that to kind of be the case, that she tried and
I think
that she didn't.
Look better if she had just let it lie.
Yeah.
Personally.
Well, I'm not saying, I'm not making a judgment call. I'm just saying, what she is doing. So
seems like she's just, she's clearly very hurt.
Yeah.
And wanting some kind of, it's like the just going off on him, putting him on blast is like something that's like a fight response kind of. It's like she's putting, like, thinking that'll make her feel better, but it won't, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, she tried really hard. He didn't try in the same ways, I'll say. And they broke up, and it's sad, but I don't think people are like Team Steven,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, the reality of the online world is that there are 100% Team Steven people out there.
That's probably true.
Yeah. For every single one of these couples, there's always like a team for every one of them.
Right.
We then moved on to Jasmine and Bobby.
Who are doing great.
We get to see kind of like an unseen before scene of Jasmine seeing Bobby's apartment for the first time. Kind of like looks like a kind of like an in-law situation with a Murphy bed and a dining table that turns into a pool table.
It just is a pool table.
Oh, I thought it converts, doesn't it?
Nope. I think he just sometimes puts plates on it.
Oh, okay. The host made a reference to it converting, which is why I assumed, but
I think like it, as a state of mind. Not like you pull something apart and suddenly it's a table. No, I think it's just a pool table. It's a bachelor pad to the extreme.
It is a bachelor pad to the extreme, yeah.
And where he recorded that music video.
Yeah, which
what was it?
Oh, God. Something about dance?
Something your body. I don't know.
Body is a dancer?
Body of a dancer, maybe?
Body of a dancer? Something like that.
I love that he did that.
Yeah. And
but
then...
they're doing great.
Yeah. They're doing fantastic. We get a little montage of their first year together, which is adorable. First Valentine's together. Just a lot of hanging out. Moving in together, which is pretty cute. So yeah, they seem to be doing well, and
even the mom dynamic.
Yeah, she gives him 110% approval rating.
Yeah,
and
I wonder how that is. I mean, props to Jasmine. Seems like she had already done a lot of differentiating. I remember I was like concerned about if she had to go through that process being with him, how that would be. But the only way I can think of it being as good as it is she had already started that process long ago. Which props to her. That's probably was not easy to do. So, yeah. Should we go to the next couple?
Yeah.
We have Maria and Tom.
So they're doing great. Therefore, we can move on.
I know. As we talked about, there's not much to say. Maria and Tom
are seated together.
Are seated together, but are not together and don't appear to be friends.
And that's why I found it odd, because I would have said that Ollie and Demi at least seemed to be getting along better. I was like, why not seat them together instead of seating these two? Anyway, I don't know. Whoever decided on the seating, I have thoughts. They talk about their differences in values. Tom seems to be sort of can't think of the word right now, but he's just kind of like mostly on an apologetic streak of just kind of being like, I'm sorry, I learned a lot, I've grown from this, and I learned a lot, but I'm sorry. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think he says I'm sorry a ton, but he does sort of seem to acknowledge his not particularly great behavior at times, but I don't know if he actually says I'm sorry out loud.
I don't recall that either, but I do recall him saying like it was ugly behavior, and I recall it being kind of painted as like Tom did everything wrong and Maria was, faultless. So I don't love that it was so skewed. She probably feels that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think it's unreasonable that he wanted to have her pay for some things. I also don't think it's, it's her culture that she wanted to be courted, I mean, but yeah, they were not meant to be. And I wonder if they'll, it sounds like they were not going to stay in contact.
Oh this. No, yeah, 100%. I don't mean that they haven't been, so why would they be? It sounds like, obviously his comments about how to raise women was something that was incredibly insulting to her.
Right, because she was like, my mom is an incredibly strong woman, and she stayed at home, and I'm a strong woman, so you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know plenty of guys who don't want to date somebody who is going to stay at home when they have kids. I also know plenty of guys for who that's no big deal, and vice versa, by the way. I don't want to just say it's just the woman that stays at home, but I do think it's important to be on the same page about that, and they're just not,
Yeah.
But again, my overall impression of Tom was Tom doesn't know what Tom wants. And I still feel that way.
I mean, I think Tom is discovering what he wants as he's being presented with the opposite of what he wants, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We do see kind of a brief mention of Tosh, where we get a little bit of clarification that when she says, I had love for you, she meant in the past tense, and that she kind of more saw the connection with Maria and had moved on. So it seems like Tom got a misunderstanding there when it comes to her.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little bit of a convenient paintbrush over it. If it went down like the clips they showed at the actual bar, which is a very big if, because as we know, the show is extremely edited. But if it went down like that, then I do think she was leaving the door open. I don't think she was making an active play. I think she was saying I had love for you. And it was past tense, so there's nothing wrong with this clarification now. There's nothing like factually wrong. And also, it's hard for me to imagine a scenario where you're saying that there's no level of you that's hoping that leaves the door open.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that would be sus to me. Like, you don't say it at all if that's what you're feeling. I got from the reunion though that, like, you know, and this checks out to me potentially more so, is that like at the time of the bar, the show hadn't come out. All she knew was the pods.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, potentially controversial opinion here, but there's so many times where there was a love triangle on this and other seasons where there was a love triangle, and eventually one couple got together and there's one person who didn't, and the person who didn't makes some overture towards, you know, like, I would still be with you, or we should, and that person is so maligned, and all of a sudden that engagement is like sacrosanct, you know, like, he was engaged, what do you, and it's like, okay, and it really could have gone either way, and you kind of, I don't know, it doesn't have the like inviolate nature of like if you just met a dude and he was engaged and you made a play. Like, you're in this incredibly artificial situation where he went with somebody else, but sometimes when it seems like the flip of a coin, he could have gone with you, and that situation with that other person is going to be pretty volatile and might not work out. I don't know. It's like, I think the indignation that the person who ultimately did get engaged often shows towards the other person is a little highfalutin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that happen before too, right? And we've seen that happen in the US version, I'm pretty sure. And
it was Laura, right? Sarah Ann, I remember.
Yeah. And certainly there were a lot of feelings of just kind of like, how dare she say that the door is still open. Right, there's a how dare she, and it's like, okay. Yeah.
I mean, I can see it. It's not someone's proudest moment, but if you were like in love with somebody and it was these highly artificial situation, and you're like, hey, just in case that doesn't work out, which it doesn't work out all the time on this show, just in case this doesn't work out, I'm still available. I don't know. I don't think that person deserves to be so maligned.
I agree with you, and I do believe that in the U.S. Series, you disagreed with me when I agreed with that particular point of view. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah,
do I contradict myself? Very well, then. I contradict myself.
Look, we are shape-shifting people over time. Our opinions change with the world and the things that we see.
I would never have said that.
We do now see Benaya.
Not highfalutin. Unfounded.
Unfounded? Okay. You had to find a synonym for it.
I was like, that doesn't sound right. How I used it.
So we move on to Benaya.
Yeah.
And
they're doing
Nicole.
great. A couple nerds found each other.
Yeah, we get to see them on their trips. We get to see a lot of their activities together. They seem super happy. She's able to pronounce their name.
Right.
By the way, if y'all have not seen Benaya with short hair, do yourself a favor and look up photos of Benaya with short hair. Not to say that Benaya with long hair is an unattractive person, but Benaya with short hair. Whoo, okay.
Right. It's like if all you ever had was, I don't know, fruit, and then you found out you could have chocolate. Like, fruit's great, but chocolate. Yeah, I was like, Benaya, cut them locks, baby doll.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. When his hair's down, honestly, it looks a little bit better than when it's pulled back. But we get to see,
not as good.
Not as good as when it's short. I have to agree with that.
Right.
Yeah. And then we get to see this super adorable scene that genuinely almost brought me to tears, where Benaya and Nicole have their first date, their very first pod date, and how they react to it as they're both walking away from it. She's still in the pod and he's kind of walking down the hall. And it is genuinely adorable to watch.
Oh yeah.
It is super cute. Like they're both in seventh heaven, and just they can't believe that they just had such a great connection with a person. So I'm really happy that they ended up together and that they're doing well, because oh my gosh, that little scene right there just made everything worth it.
It was so cute. So adores. Yeah. Not surprised they're doing well. I mean, we had wondered how the travel would work out, but it looks like they've, like we had thought might happen, met each other in the middle on that one.
Yeah.
He probably stays home more than he otherwise would, and it sounds like she's been with him on quite a few adventures. So, yeah, I can relate. If you're a nerd and you find your nerd, it's a pretty good time.
Mm-hmm. And so then, to spoil the fun time,
I know,
they bring in Sam. Who
totally not necessary,
and also not necessary that he sits right in between Freddie and Kat.
Yeah.
I think I've already mentioned that there are rumors going around that Freddie and Kat are seeing each other,
which didn't come up at all.
Didn't come up. Honestly, it's very possible that it genuinely, because of the timing of all of this, it's very possible.
Sam and Kat. I think you said Freddie.
Yeah, sorry, Kat, yes, yeah. Sam and Kat. I think it's very possible that Sam and Kat may have started seeing each other after the filming of this reunion.
It could be. I was wondering that too. Just
because of the timing of when I saw these messages saying that they've been spotted walking around hand in hand in Jersey. And so we get Sam's perspective, which, he says that it's, that it was nerves. We don't get a whole lot of explanation from him. We don't get the montage that I think we were hoping for, which was Sam just kind of saying the same things to multiple people. We do get harping on the "I think I love you" portion, which I thought was, we kind of noticed, and I don't necessarily know if it was called out very much in the moment, but when he proposes to Nicole and then says, "I think I love you" afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I think I love you.
And then his answer to that is, yeah, I didn't think I was ready to say I love you. So that to me is a pretty clear indication is I wanted to be on the show more, but I wasn't ready to say I love you. So I just said, will you marry me so I could be on the show more?
Yeah, or he just doesn't, other people don't matter as much, Yeah. It worked for Sam.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it would hurt Nicole, By the way, Sam's hair is beastly.
Beastly?
It looks like it, yeah. I mean, it's just not a great look. By the way, I just looked it up, and Kat is not dating Sam.
Oh, okay.
According to Kat, she's dating Jake, who was not really on the show, got engaged, but was not chosen to go on the retreat.
Oh, interesting. And then got unengaged.
I guess got unengaged.
That must be awkward for all the people who were like, so I just asked you to marry me, but we're not going to Greece, so
Right.
bye, I guess, because I'm not that into you.
Well, it does give. We have been wondering how that works. Like, do they have everybody go to Greece and only some people? They edit it so that it appears that not every couple was there, but it looks like they just straight up tell some people you're not coming.
Yeah.
So I wonder what that's about. Sam comes on. He doesn't do himself any favors. Eventually, Demi jumps in and is like, can you please just say, I'm sorry to Nicole?
Right. And that's in reference to, they're now talking about the fact that he mentioned that Nicole wanted to sleep with him, which I'd mentioned in the previous episode. It seemed as though to me when he was talking to Nicole that she kind of said that did happen, but now it's pretty clear that this was something he made up. So yeah, when Demi kind of snaps at him when he's just sort of saying, well, I felt pressured and I felt like things weren't going my way, so I just kind of threw this in right now. She kind of just like just snaps at him and says, can you please just say I'm sorry?
Mm-hmm. Looks like Tom also spoke out against Sam and said he was just someone who desperately needed validation. True.
Live learning new things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. He's on the reunion, so we're talking about him. But honestly, I'd be happy just moving on.
Yeah. Because ultimately we are moving on. We are moving on to our last couple. We are moving on to Freddie and Kat.
Yes. We haven't heard from Freddie yet.
He's been silent and like very rarely, even like I think they show him once throughout the entire filming of this entire
I met you and I personally.
Oh, we haven't seen Freddie.
No, because we were inviting him.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
Andre, how
You're still pushing.
moving you to consent?
Yes. That's how it works.
How I'm bulldozing you into consenting? Strong-arming you?
It's on tape, folks. But we move on to Freddie and Kat, and they talk about how, Kat feels like that she was kind of like in a triggered state for a lot of this, that she was just kind of in this trauma response. But this conversation is honestly very, very brief, and it mostly covers the fact that it seems odd that Freddie had leaned in so hard into them getting married, like getting the earrings, writing the card, and then saying no at the altar. And it sounds as though he was almost like fitting into like this role that he thought was expected of him. He was like, well, if I didn't get her the earrings or write the card, she would be mad. So I figured I should, even though I was gonna say no. So,
Sure.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess that's like fair in the sense that was his perception.
Yeah.
But I think if you're going to say no, no one's going to fault you if you don't get the earrings. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It seems like, I guess the point that I took away is he thought about it and was trying to come from a good place.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I think, the right call, but it wasn't designed to be hurtful.
Yeah, and Betsy Dora from the audience, who's like, I 100% agree these two weren't right for each other. I'm sure she's since seen the episodes and probably did not like the way Freddie was being treated in some ways. So from her perspective, I mean, the other thing was that she was seeing kind of a reserved version of Freddie and finding that weird. Which, agreed, when the people who love you see you behave in a way that makes you feel like, makes it look as though you're not at your best self because your partner is around you, that is a pretty big red flag.
Yeah. Yeah. If your brother came back and was suddenly like a different person, yeah, I'd be like, I don't know about this. You want to see someone feeling happy. I think Kat comes across well here. She doesn't come across so well when talking about Demi.
Yeah.
But she does, I think, come across as like, you know what, it was the right call and it was a tough situation, and yeah. So yeah. It seems like they haven't spoken at all since the altar, but he seems to still care about her.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, not terrible. I don't think they'll be friends. Because they were different, right? That was a big part of it, is they had different desires and lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, it is a bummer that it seems like most of the people who aren't staying together as couples aren't even friends.
Yeah.
You know? That is kind of sad.
But who knows? Maybe at the reunion, it's like,
some
hey,
point in the future. Their 10-year reunion, do you think they'll have one?
No. Sometimes they do it after the altar.
Yeah.
Well, that is the reunion.
Yeah, that brings us to the end.
So, yeah, we will catch you at Love is Blind Mexico. Let us know what you think. If you agree, if you disagree, either way, it's nice to engage with you all and to get different opinions, because we are just two opinions. And like us, follow us, all of those things.
Yeah.
And
then that's kind of about it. Yeah.
That's it. We will catch you soon with Love is Blind Mexico, where I will get to practice my Spanish. Yay!
Yay! Okay.
Yay.
Bye, y'all.